Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm sharing a card using the Seahorse Background stamp from Simon Says Stamp's brand new release. Here's a look at that background. Like most backgrounds now, this is a cling rubber background stamp, which means that when I stamp with it in my Misti Tool like I'm going to do here, I had to make sure to take out the foam pad insert which comes in your Misti, and that just creates enough space to fit that cling rubber stamp so that I can stamp and get a good impression. I'm stamping this onto some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock with Fog ink from Simon Says Stamp. Because there's a lot going on in this background, I wanted to use a really light ink and keep it pretty subtle. This next part is going to be kind of difficult to see what I'm doing in the video because I'm using Versamark ink a lot, but I took out the beautiful Mermaids stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and I picked out a bunch of the smaller images from that set, and I'm stamping them onto some Bristol Smooth paper with the Versamark ink, and then I embossed them with Alabaster white embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. I had this idea to create a really colorful ocean-themed frame, kind of inspired by really beautiful coral reefs. So I went over the top of all of these embossed images with a bunch of different colors of Distress Oxide ink. Now the blending on this panel is going to look ridiculously messy, but that's okay because I'm actually going to be cutting out each of these small images with my scan and cut, so the only blending that really matters is the blending on those actual stamped images. The colors that I used here are Wilted Violet, Picked Raspberry, Spiced Marmalade, Squeezed Lemonade, Cracked Pistachio, Salty Ocean, and Abandoned Coral. Using the Hero Arts Nested Infinity Circle die set, I created this frame out of some white cardstock, and then I took my Gina Designs Connect glue and I started to adhere all of those tiny pieces to the back of that frame. I wanted all of these pieces to be peeking out from that inner edge of the frame, but I didn't want any of them to peek out from the outer edge. So as I was adhering all of these, I was using my scissors to snip off any of the excess overhang on the outside of the frame. I love how these really colorful pieces end up standing out in contrast against the rest of the card, because the rest of the card is pretty white. The background is very light gray, so it's very subtle, so it mostly looks like the rest of the card is white, and then you have this big pop of color around the frame. Once I finished creating that frame, I set it aside to work on my sentiment, which I also pulled from the beautiful Mermaids stamp set. I stamped the sentiment onto my background panel with Versamark ink, and then I embossed it with Gilded embossing powder, which is a really pretty gold embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. I decided that I wanted to add a hint of color on my background, just where the frame is going to be. So in order to do that, I took the negative portion of my die cut. This is the panel of paper that I cut my frame out of, and I taped that on top of my background, and I'm using it as a stencil for some ink blending. The ink that I'm using here is Gina Designs Ocean Mist ink, and I'm making sure to put down a very light amount of that ink around the edge of the circle. I added some foam tape to the back of my frame, and then I lined it up with that ink blending and popped it up onto my panel. And right here you can see that I decided that I wanted to add another starfish onto that frame, so I just glued that on real quick, and that kind of fills out that side a little bit better. I pulled out the Coast mix of sequins from Lucy's cards, and I picked out a bunch of the light blue sequins from that mix, and I placed those around the edge of my frame, and then I glued them down with Gina Designs Connect glue. To finish up this card, I adhered that background onto a card base using my ATG gun, and then this card is all done. And here's a closer look at the finished card. I really love the dimension in this, and I love the colors. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you really enjoyed this card design. All of the supplies that I used for today's card can be found in the description down below, and remember that anytime you use one of those links, you're helping to support this channel at no extra cost to you. If you enjoyed watching today, don't forget to like, comment, and maybe hit that subscribe button so that you can see all of my future videos. I come out with new videos every single week, and I'm going to be back with another one really soon. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.